Shine that in my, shine that in, shine that in my, shine that in.
Welcome to the Drama Zone project.
Thanks for having me here. How did it all start? Both my parents were musicians, and my mom still is a musician. She still sings in Pink Noise. So I guess I just grew up with music as the normal thing that was happening at home, because there was always rehearsal, and I would go out on tour with them when I was maybe a little over a year old.
Okay.
So that was just like normal home life for me, music and life on the road and rehearsal. And I actually didn't end up playing drums until I was about 18. But I guess I was always totally involved in music, even if I wasn't playing. I was always listening very keenly, and I was always aware of music and like the details of the world of music.
What are your influences? Like what do you generally listen to?
It's changed a lot over the years since I started playing, because when I first started playing, obviously I was listening to drummers a lot more. Now I don't necessarily listen to just drummers. I like listening to all kinds of music. In fact, I sometimes prefer listening to music without a drummer or without any drums at all.
Right.
So I mean, it's been, I don't know, like Dave Matthews Band, Radiohead, Miles Davis, Weather Report, Aphex Twin, Square Pusher, just pretty much everything really. And it's changed a lot over the years, like I said.
So how's your practice routine like?
not so good. I mean, I think I don't practice enough right now because I'm just involved with so many different bands.
That's true.
That rehearsing every day takes a lot of effort. And also my setup is quite different from band to band, so I have to keep changing my setup.
Right.
So often there's just no time in the day for me to sit down and practice because I first have to change the setup and then rehearse.
True.
So honestly, I probably don't practice as much as I should practice right now, and it's mostly just rehearsing and doing gigs at this point. I used to hang out with Gino Banks a lot.
Okay.
Growing up, and also in the initial years when I was playing and going to Bombay more regularly.
Right.
And he would always show me stuff to do, and I mean, he's an amazing musician, but also he's a very effective practicer, I think.
Okay.
Like, I'm not an effective practicer. I practice a lot and then maybe 5% is useful, but I feel like Gino is a guy who really knows how to maximize his practicing. So just watching him and hanging out with him has been amazing, and I just recommend that people who are starting to play find somebody like that just to hang out with, like,
Right,
not even
right.
to study with. If you can hang out and go out for dinner, you'll learn a lot. And this has happened to me with Gino and with Ranjit also. In fact, with Ranjit it's been more of the going out for dinner, but it's still very valuable.
True. It's very important to pick people that you want to hang around so that you are always learning and
Yeah, and also at some level I think you have to relate as people first. You can't just go to a guy because he's got some licks. Then you won't. Maybe you learn the licks, but it won't be a musical
True.
thing for you, and it won't come out musically, I think. Whereas if you really know the person and you hang out just as two people, then the music, the technique becomes music. I think that's the important thing. I'm really trying to make technique come out as music and not
Right.
come out as technique. So, for instance, initially I practiced a lot of like the classic bop books, Art of Bop
Okay.
Drumming, Jim Chapin's book. Then doing like the stick control in Alan Dawson's method, where you do stick control but playing like a jazz ride pattern and playing stick control with the other hand. And I don't play any jazz music per se, I don't play bebop at all, obviously. But I feel like that coordination has really helped when like with Pink Noise, for instance, I have to play a drum machine with one hand and play the kit with the other hand and control a volume pedal with my foot. That's not stuff you can practice, but obviously my bop practicing has been the thing that has allowed me to do that.
right now, what are the projects that you are involved in?
I mean, Pink Noise and the duo with Nishchay and then the duo with Amit Datta. These three are probably the projects that take up most of my time and energy. And right now Nishchay and I are recording a second album.
Okay.
And Amit Da and I are going to start recording our second album once that's over. So it's always something new.
Okay. And what about your future projects?
I don't know. I don't plan too far in advance, honestly, because there's so much to think about right now that I don't know what's going to happen in a few months' time. And I'd rather be surprised than have a very thought out plan for what I'm going to do.
You actually played one episode in Coke Studio with Nitin Sani, so why don't you talk about that?
That I don't know how it happened. It just happened out of the blue. I got a call from his manager asking me to play. So obviously you don't even think about saying yes to something like that. And that was very interesting because he's a really good producer and he knows exactly what he wants from all the musicians in the band.
Okay.
And I respond well to that kind of situation. I know a lot of people who would probably think that's too much information and like too much discipline, but I actually enjoy that, where you can't play any fills, and if you're going to play a fill, it can only be this kind of fill at this point. I really like that kind of situation.
Like
So
to the context.
yeah, totally. And also where he's really directing the show, so to speak, musically. He's the musical director of the band as well, and he really gets into details of what pattern you're playing, how much volume, and I just enjoy things like that. I don't find it like he's stepping into my territory at all. I just enjoy that two-way process.
Right. It's actually a learning process as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always good to have somebody else's perspective, because when we're playing, we often lose track of the subtleties and the details, and we think everything is great, and
True.
often everything is not great. So it helps to have somebody point out that you should play your snare a little quieter or something like that. I like those details.
You recently hooked up with Meinl, so why don't you talk about your endorsements?
Yeah, so Meinl seemed to be doing a great job of really pushing the product in the country and trying to get the product to drummers, because we all know cymbals are expensive.
Right.
And especially in India, where you're multiplying everything by 80 to pay in euros, it's ridiculous. So it's
Right.
great that they're really going out of their way to support drummers and make it possible for us to play these instruments. So I got the endorsement through Ranjit Barrett, who's a really old and great family friend. I mean, he's practically family.
Okay.
So he suggested my name to them, and then I just went to the store in Bombay and tried out a bunch of products, and the cymbals I have are basically the cymbals that I enjoyed playing at their store, which is why there's just one ride, one crash, one pair of hi-hats and a couple of splashes. And I like that small setup where I know exactly why I've picked
Right.
those cymbals.
Right.
Like I only have one crash and I know exactly why it's there, and I know 50 ways to play that crash, and it can sound like multiple cymbals.
Right.
So they're interesting instruments for sure.
And I was just listening to what you were playing. What I found out was it's actually pretty close to the sound that you want to produce from the drum kit. It's pretty dark and at the same time pretty dry as well.
You mean the cymbals?
Yeah, right.
That's pretty interesting, because actually I was thinking about this just yesterday while I was just playing the cymbals. I wasn't practicing, I was just playing. And I felt like the cymbals were actually like drums, like they respond like drums. And I like that. Like for instance, I don't like things to bounce too much, which is why I tune the snare way down. I almost like the snare to sound like a floor tom,
Okay.
where really I can like dig, and there's like some feeling to the head, you know. Like the stick also takes time to come back. It's not
Right,
like
right.
instant.
And you get
and-
that fat tone as well.
Yeah, and the same thing from the cymbals that I use. It's like when I hit the cymbal, the stick goes into the metal a little bit. It's not like it pings off instantly. So I like that
Especially
touch.
with the Sand series.
Even the ride, the vintage pure light ride, it's not a ting. It's quite a big sound.
Big
It's
sound.
almost like a floor tom actually. I think if you hit it soft and mic'd it a certain way, it would sound like a floor tom.
And you also endorse Vic Firth sticks. So
Yeah.
how did that happen?
That was a long time ago, so I don't really remember. I think I just approached them through the distributor in India, and they said okay. It was that simple. I didn't have any reference there.
And you use any particular model from Vic Firth? or
5As.
Just 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of drummers that I personally know who really like you and they really look up to you. So maybe in the future they want to go your way, or maybe stand out as drummers in India. So like, what do you have to suggest for them?
Just to find your own way. I think that's the main thing. Like, it took me a long time to even vaguely know what I was interested in. You have to just know what makes you excited as a musician. So that's one thing. That's a philosophical thing. But just in terms of like what you can do, there's a lot of information out there. But I think one thing that's really useful is just like sitting with your instruments and just getting into the details of the touch. I think that's a big thing. Like, because I think the problem is because there's a stick in the way, you're not very connected. Many people are not very connected with the
Right.
instrument.
Right.
Whereas a trumpet player, for instance, you can't even get a sound without first really slogging for months, and
Right.
then you'll get a basic sound. Especially with cymbals, people just smash the cymbal, and that's not always the best sound. You have to really know what the cymbal feels like. Like, the cymbal is also a drum, which is what we were talking about. So you have to know what this drum feels like. The right cymbal, it's a drum. What does it feel like? It's like the snare or the floor tom. So just spending time developing a touch, I think, on each instrument is a huge thing. Which, like, even I didn't do it enough initially, and then I guess I got lucky that I found out that this was an important aspect.
True.
And I think maybe watching Ari Hoenig, the great New York jazz drummer, I mean jazz, I don't know what to call him, he's just a monster, but his touch is so beautiful. Regardless of what stuff he's doing, the touch is always amazing. So I think that's something to work on. Just spend time developing your touch. Forget about the other stuff.
Thanks for coming, Jaiva. We're really glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Hope to have you back once again.
Yeah, hope so.
So how did you like the project and the whole experience of Double Jump project?
I think the best reason to do things is for the sake of doing them. And obviously this is being done purely for the sake of doing it. So I'm really always a big supporter of things which don't have an agenda.
True.
Because music is something that shouldn't really have an agenda, and very often we do get sidetracked into doing music not for the sake of doing music. So I'm always happy to be a part of an experience like this, which is just like down to earth, honest, and hopefully helpful. I mean, it's definitely been helpful for me because I know how much practice I need, and I'm going to go back and practice more.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
The children come home. Summer is the time. The children come home. Summer is the time. The children come home. Summer is the time. The children